Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here, the man who talks machines. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, this is part 5, I believe, of investigating and, of course, unveiling the mystery of manifestation science. Now, manifesting science is something that people don't classify that way, but there've been people have been using manifesting for millions of years, thousands of years at least, going back to ancient times, back to ancient civilizations, etc. So, manifesting is the basic requirement that everyone has to do, basically. Life is really all about manifesting. You can have a great education, you can have a skill or whatever it is, but if you can't manifest that into something that benefits you, a job, assisting others, whatever it may be, you're not manifesting properly. And of course, manifesting is nothing new, but it's about time that we call it manifesting science the way it should be and the many branches of it. Now, radionics is just one branch of it. And that is basically old machine technologies that are nothing more than psychic focusers. This is something that is not new in manifesting, and the psychic focusing has been going on for thousands of years. The manifesting, of course, can be originally, of course, goes back to the occult sciences, the shamans, the alchemists, etc. Alchemists were trying to take base metals and make them lead and turn them into gold. And of course, what they did as well, part of alchemy, is turning your base self into your higher self. This also included immortality, the philosopher's stone. And again, this is manifesting. Everything in life is manifesting. But there are many, many tools and many techniques to do it. One of the most popular ones of manifesting has been in recent years visualization. And you could call vision boards, where people put pictures of what they want up there, as a manifesting tool. So this is nothing new, and what's been common as well is called positive thinking. Where you think positive, visualize, and then things are supposed to materialize in your environment. Now, all of these techniques are part of the bigger picture, the larger field of manifesting. And there are levels of power that each one of these techniques has. And most of these techniques are pretty low power and pretty poor. But human focusing, using your innate bio abilities, the biophysical, as I like to call it, because psychic is a terrible word generally that has been really bastardized and destroyed by so many. And of course, this is done deliberately by the dumb bunkers and other fools that live in the fantasy world that nothing really is empowered out there, which is kind of comical. But we've had books like Napoleon Hill. During the late 1970s, etc., there was a plethora of self-help books. And all of these had little systems to help your life or empower you to a better life. Visualization has always been out there since ancient times. And of course, we've had junk systems come out in recent years called The Secret. What secret? Again, people think there's some mystery to this, that there's somehow this is new. Well, it's amazing how people can take old stuff and then put a shine on it. Something new when it is not new at all. There's lots of visualization tools, and they don't teach you right. They're not teaching you the proper way to visualize. There are tools you need to use in visualization. There are whole methods of this, and we offer this in our different training classes, particularly our occult gym book, which shows you how to build all these empowerments so you can have clear thoughts and have strong manifesting energies. Generally, in this day and age where things are very, very evil and terrible, you need to really empower anything you do, meaning that just doing psychic thinking and psychic tuning is not going to get you very many results. You've got to fine-tune your consciousness. You have to be able to hold images, and you have to be able to project energies out. There are methods and training to do all this. None of it is difficult. But like anything in life, it's a skill and you have to take the time to do it. If you're working with any kind of tools or equipment of these kind of tuning boxes, well, you have to have certain skills. The basic skill you need right off the bat is that you have to have the ability to use pendulums. If you can't use pendulums, you can't tune these machines. So this is something that an awful lot of people have difficulty with. The old stupid rubbing method doesn't work well and something you stay away from. What's a stick when you're rubbing something? That is just a great way to push you further into the delusional psychic realm of low power and bad results. So we have to understand, while all these fields are very interesting, none of them really have been perfected until I have stepped in and written the books and, of course, have designed very advanced machines now. And, of course, we have machines now that we actually can contact through specially transmuted and special types of electronics, where we actually can contact the consciousness of the machine. This is the tippy tops. This is the ultimate discovery of mankind, which I have made. All the rest of it coming up to this point has really been kind of low level and unimportant. You're just really processing data. When you're working with machines and you're actually working mind and machine work as one, you've now bridged the ultimate gap in reality, where you're getting the machine to work with you to the highest possible level. This is exciting, fascinating, and lots to come on this. There are many, many ways to generate large energy fields to assist your manifestation, way past these very simplistic machines we've already showed you, which basically are nothing more than potentiometers hooked up to a couple of dials and a couple of plates. And even that is in question, while some don't even seem to have additional plates. Now, this unit that we have here is another rare classic unit from Lord's Industries. They were very popular in the 80s up into the late 90s. I'm not sure when they went out of business, late 90s maybe. I used to even have a catalog of theirs, which unfortunately I lost the actual file on that, so I don't longer have that. But it was interesting to see what they were selling, and they were pretty popular, and they had several different machines, and they all were fairly well made. Here's a prime example. You don't really see this much. This even has a metal case. It's an entire metal case, and nobody uses these today. They cost you too much. And you'll find that the crap out there that is built by people is built at the lowest possible level of construction and the cheapest components you can get, because they're all pretty much greedy people that want to make every penny they can out of something. And to do that, they even give you shoddy boxes, like one guy who puts it in a Michael's craft store box that he buys for $3 and then sells that instrument for $1,200 for a 12 dial. This is the kind of stuff you get from the very horrible industry called radionics, psionics, etc. It's all junk. So there's not a single manufacturer in the business except myself that builds quality products, period. They're all very low quality and they are all very high priced. So this is the nature of a lot of things, though. So I'm not sure there's anything overly different from the so-called manifesting field of the offshoot of manifesting sciences called radionics, psionics, psychotronics, etc. All of these are the offshoots of the same thing, and they are comically expensive and comically put together with simple little wiring. Now, ultimately, all of these machines, including this one, work on psychic tuning. While there is electrical plug in this, it's mostly to run the GSR meter, and that was for this is when people were using GSR meters to try and trace a stick and to see if the needle jumped when you turn the dial here, meaning that you actually, and of course they were connected to your fingers. Did that mean that that's a stick? So everybody's been trying to get a reading on their particular units beyond the fact of Is it a stick? Do you feel it? Is that the correct setting? And of course, it's going through your millions of miles of nerves. Now, the best way to do this, of course, is to use a pendulum, because pendulums, which you tell to swing only, yes, clockwise when you get to the right number. Well, there's no arguing with the pendulum swinging in a circle clockwise. So it's the only definitive way to properly tune your unit. But as I said, there's many different areas to manifesting. This is just one. This has 6 dials, and of course it has they call it the sample well plate. And then again, repeat the same thing over here, sample. Oh, what is it? Well, as usual, I like to name things properly. You have your in and your out plate. Energy flows in through here and out here. This company, while they built certain things fairly well, again, really didn't have a grasp of what's going on. They did put, as I said, a GSR meter, and there's even, when it was popular, this headphone which put tones in your ears to make you tune better. So they were trying to get into that, because the most difficult part of any type of these type of machines is tuning. But tuning what? As I said, there's nothing behind here. It's the same type of dialing system you find in every single radionic unit, whether it's made by Bruce Copen, George Delaware, the Radionic Association, etc. These are non-electric flow of energy through them. You're dealing with scalar energy fields. Scalar energy fields are non-electromagnetic fields. That's how we're defining them and how they're generally defined, even though I guess some people could complicate it more. But nothing in this field deals with electricity, electromagnetic fields. That's not radionics. That's moving into frequency machines, and this is a whole different area of manifesting technologies. Now, the manifesting sciences are varied. There's frequency machines, there's scalar wave machines, there's plain tools. Here's a fantastic tool that works really well, and you don't have to tune it or anything else. This is a energy disk for generating an easy life, which has a code number on it. It has special sigils underneath this, and it has a built-in frequencies in here to manifest that. All you've got to do is put your picture on here, and you're done. Some people put little tea lights on there, or you can also spin them, as I have in some of my other videos. Spinning these, placing your photograph in front of it, has generated fantastic success, and it's inexpensive. We also use, of course, here's a symbolic, actual classic Hieronymus plate. It has the symbolic symbol on here. You basically put your 2 thumbs here and you send the thought form into it. You're basically visualizing what you want. Now, this pattern amplifies what you're doing, because everything you want to do, you want to amplify. On the other side of it is your personal, what we call a cosmic code. This is your number in the universe that's specifically for you. So when you put something in here, it goes to you here. And of course, these are gold plated and really fine, great tools that you can either wear and use them anywhere, or you can use them and then you can put a photograph on top of this, etc. So there's lots of tools out there. The problem is, who's making these tools and how valid are they? Well, the problem is, since there are no trained people other than myself in the manifesting sciences, and people are not taking courses like they should, training themselves, understanding all the science behind it, you get a bunch of people that are untrained, to put it frankly, stooges and idiots. And that's who is out there, and that's who has taken this to a horrible level. On top of the fact that the radionic industry has been taken over by crooks and criminals and Satanists. This has been going on for over 30 years now, fully supported by those pseudo organizations out there who are afraid to do anything and who do absolutely nothing. And most of them are working with these criminal organizations as well. That's the sad fact of it all. Now, why is that? Well, it's because of the fact that, first of all, this technology has a great potential. Secondly, this is a way for them to make money and to scam people. That's what's being done. And this has been done for a long time, particularly the last 20 years. People with their organite garbage, which is toxic, dangerous nonsense, and those people building all these little garbage boxes. So the whole idea is that it is really sad, but buyer beware with anything. So you have to be very, very careful of whom you buy from, what is their background, which is difficult to find out. You buy something offline or you go to a website, you're assuming that these people know what they're doing and they have basically positive attitudes. Not in this field, people. You are really looking for trouble, and you're even to the point where you could kill yourself because they'll send you organite toxic garbage which will make you sick and kill you. It's happened to the inventor of that, who died young, and his wife died young, and so many other users of Organite have had all sorts of mental and physical problems, not to mention the fact that they're directly hooked up to evil satanic cults that are involved in criminal activity. That's your Organite, people, and buyer beware. So the whole idea is that finding credible people, finding credible tools and everything else is difficult. I've got a bunch of instruments I'm going to be selling to soon, so if you're interested, make sure you email me and I'll put you on a list, and I will let you know when they are available. Here's a 6-dial unit, which I will be selling, as I said, from Lord's Industry. Here we go again, some goofballs naming it after some Christian nonsense. So we go into all this kind of things that everybody has to be careful of. There are multi. Now, it was popular at one time, particularly when these came out, to make 3 dials and 6-dial units because of the fact that they're so easy to tune. Tuning past 6 dials is a lot of work. Tuning 9 dials is more work, and of course, when you get into 12, it's even more. And when you start dialing more and more, you start making more and more errors because you're very tired and drained. Just doing this kind of work is a very high level, draining very high energies out of your solar plexus, etc. But as I've mentioned, the manifesting sciences has been around for a long time, and in many different ways. In ancient times, it was the shamans, it was the sorcerers, it was the alchemists who were involved in manifesting. Generally, manifesting involves taking little to nothing, working with informational energetic fields, that's what you work with, connecting to streams which have the information and empowerment you want, and drawing those to you. These energies then make changes in your physical reality, whatever that may be. Meaning the fact that, everything is an energy. So people who are wealthy, people who have charisma and other things, what is it? Why are some people, I've looked at a lot of people, and particularly wealthy people, they're as dumb as rocks. There's nothing special about them. But they do have contacts. They do have a certain energy around them where they're able to draw into them what they need. So anybody that's performing at a high level generally is doing this naturally because that's just the way they're set up. So they're able to tune into the streams to help them, whether this is anything that they're good at. And there's a combination of factors here. But if someone's good at playing an instrument or mathematics or whatever, it means they've connected to that stream of empowerment that draws that to them. And of course, you tune into that when you use devices like this. Or what you do is you use a plate that connects you to that stream and then put your picture on it so the energy flows to you. And some people have this natural, and of course, success breeds success. And of course, there's many factors to it. And as I've mentioned, this is nothing new. There's been self-help books for many years. The most popular one is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now, everybody has pretty much read this book. I think it's even in the public domain now. And this is what people start off. You want to think positive. You want to draw things to you, etc. And he talks about all this and how being positive, etc. Other people were Og Mandino, the world's greatest salesman. All of these kind of things are basically the same. And there's been many other people that actually have written these kind of self-help books, giving you different systems and different ways of operating. So this is all part of the manifesting sciences, and pretty much, you call this kindergarten. This is very low level. But of course, in life, you want to be centered towards a particular goal. The problem is that positive thinking is a terrible way to try and manifest anything. It usually ends up in putting a person in a horrible place of great depression and even suicidal. Because just because you're positive and because you burnt all your bridges behind you and you're never going to fail doesn't mean that you're not going to fail. That is imbecilic and childish. Now, you always want to go into things positive, and you always want to think that you're going to succeed. On the other hand, you have to be prepared for failure because that is inevitable in certain things. You're just not going to win at everything. Even the most successful people, average millionaire, had 5 businesses before they achieved a successful one. So this is very common. So the whole idea, if you psych yourself up and do absolutely everything possible to make something work, and you put your life on the line, so to speak, you are setting yourself up for a horrible fall. So you have to be positive, but you also have to understand that, hey, if it doesn't work out, I'll move on to the next project. That is not negating things. That is not adding doubt into the situation. It's being practical and survivable. Now, as technology gets stronger and stronger, and you're able to maintain informational energetic fields of your desire at strong levels through the use of transmutated electronics and other things that I offer, particularly tube-based electronics and communicating with electronic consciousness, things start to skyrocket in terms of success. When we get into all these other systems, which are inexpensive to do, and from vision boards, where, as I've mentioned already, that people have, where you put pictures of what you desire up there, all of this is part of the process. But of course, even all those things are done pretty badly. You don't visualize flat things. You should never have a vision board. You should have things that are 3-dimensional, so consciousness can connect to it better. Looking at something and kind of wishing you had it certainly is not the best thing to do in the long run. But, keeping in mind what you want and seeing it, visualizing it in every possible detail in 3 dimensions is critical. So it does help the entire process, and when you tune a machine, you're kind of doing that as part of the process. Because again, you're not generating any energies when you tune a machine like this. Turning these dials does absolutely nothing electromagnetically. You are manipulating non-electromagnetic scalar fields that are manifesting fields. So it's important to understand that. It's important to understand the manifesting sciences. And again, this is a study field. You have to learn how the universe works. I know exactly how the universe works. These are based with which are called occultons and psions that combine together to produce energetic fields that eventually will produce something physical if that's what you desire. But the universe is loaded with these fields, and they're constantly making stuff. The space is full of physical objects. Where did they come from initially? They come from the occulton fields mixing with psion fields. And of course, I detail this in my Great Path course. It's too complicated to go into right here. But there's a whole science of it, as well as connecting to streams of power and information that you desire. All of this has been proven. All of this has been used for thousands of years. And the entire area of metaphysics has been studied for 150 years now. And most fields have gobs of written information of what was discovered, proving psychic power, proving communication with the dead, proving telekinesis. All of this has been proven, and if you don't know that, it's because you've been listening to the disinformation people who are talking goo-goo to you. It's goo-goo. It's baby talk and baby thinking. And these are your dumb bunkers, your idiot magicians, all of these people that think they know something when they've been 100% disproved for decades. So there's endless research, endless proven. Of course, you don't know it because they have the frauds out there that are just plain and simple lying to you. And of course, everybody who thinks they can buy a $10 magic trick in some store somewhere thinks they know everything about the entire field of metaphysics. These arrogant stage magicians like Penn Jillette, the guy who didn't even graduate high school, who was 300 plus pounds, eating boxes of Krispy Kremes, thinking, I don't know why I'm fat and sick. So the whole idea is these are the kind of imbeciles that people are putting there. And of course, the cheaters and liars like the unamazing James Randi, who has been caught in one fraud after another, and we go on and on and on. People have been tested for 150 years now in many areas and proven that their skills, and it's as simple as that, as SRI did with Uri Geller and literally hundreds of other psychics and empowered people that they brought through that institution that has been kept away from you because they were funded by the CIA and other secret organizations, meaning that whatever they did is worthless. So the whole idea is that, but you have to understand that these things are not fantasy. You also have to understand that a lot of this stuff is very low level. What can it do? How does it work? Well, it's shrouded in problems because of the fact nothing is documented. And there's been a lot of harassments. People who try and do this, and rightfully so, you can't practice medicine without a license. I think you should have the right to add this into anything you want to do. But if you're going to make claims on stuff like this, but I feel the same with doctors. Doctors shouldn't make claims. Most of their work can be visualized. You can see it. You can go there every day. It's called a graveyard. And doctors are really good at filling graveyards with their medicines and their bad techniques. They shouldn't be making claims either. But I think there should be a right for you to have any kind of treatments you want. But it is not legal to practice medicine without a license. Plain and simple. But remember, some doctors can use radionics, particularly in several states. One of them is New York State. If you're a medical doctor in New York State, you can use radionics if you desire. You have the legal right to do so without persecution. Now, the problem is your fellow ducties, the dumb bummer idiots, will persecute you because they don't want you using tech like this because it puts them out of business. Now, we also have to understand one of the major problems with all of this stuff, which is the placebo effect, which can be as high as 60 to 80% of people that get any kind of alternative treatments feel better. This is a killing research because you have to do long-term research and let people get over their positive thinking nonsense. Now, everybody feels a little better, everybody's positive, they want to heal, etc., and this hurts whether something is really working. Yeah, I kind of feel better, and of course they want to please you, and they do want to get better. So these are problems that get involved when you're doing this. But the point is there's really no data from anybody proving any of this, and the goofball associations that have been involved in this have done nothing. As a matter of fact, they're all been compromised and are people that are dealing with the dark side. Unfortunately, that's the reality of it. They've done absolutely nothing, and they're dangerous people because they're hooked up to all the bad people. So the whole idea is that these are the kind of things that we have to understand. Now, manifesting science, as I said, goes back. People who did alchemy, people who did ritual magic, who called on spirits and other things, religious people who call on gods and saviors and other things. Well, this is all part of manifesting science. And if you can call on a particular entity, God form that you believe in, go to an altar or whatever, and it works for you, well, more power to you. But did it work? Or was that done through a placebo effect again? So no matter what you do, that's always come into question. The other thing is how much of this has ever been documented. There's been many faith healers on TV for many years. One of them is Benny Hinn, who puts on a great little magical show. I always call him the voodoo guy because he blows on people and he gets his coat and he waves it at them. It looks like something right out of a voodoo ceremony. And the point is that, of course, he doesn't get in trouble because he doesn't do anything. He has no power. God has the powers, etc. So that's how he doesn't get in trouble. And he has lived in lavish. He's raised hundreds of millions of dollars. And from what I can understand, and I've researched him and watched him for years, he's never healed a single person, which is almost impossible. You would think the placebo effect and just statistical data that people would come forward and say, well, I was sick and now I'm not. Thank you, Billy Job, Benny baby. it doesn't appear that anybody's ever done that. And I believe it was one of his relatives and everything else came out and talked about that. But I don't know how good, everybody hates each other in families. But the bottom line is that it's just, all of these faith healers, no matter whom they are, have all failed to produce any kind of decent results, period. There's hardly anybody that has ever been cured by any of these people, period, if any. So the manifesting sciences have always done that. So they walk in, you would bring people in. And of course, tribes did this all the time, particularly shamans who would call in rain people. We wanted to call rain in. You needed this for the tribe to survive. So this was something that was done consistently throughout tribes. And apparently, the manipulation of the weather is something that these shamans were pretty good at. And there's a lot of documented cases of people doing that. Again, all of this is kind of lost in an obscurity because nothing has been documented very well. This is always an affront to the people in power, just as when the British went into India, they cut off the hands of all the Ayurvedic practitioners to stop them from practicing their medicine because they wanted to push in their medicine, which as always has been, the Medical Mafia, to make sure that this is an area of great money. So the whole idea is that we have to understand that. So shamans have been curing people in different areas for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, probably going back many millions of years as we go back to the ancient societies. And what the ancient societies did when you get back into the, quote, Atlantean, unquote, type societies, is they're using informational energetic forms. They're using energy to affect everything. And of course, this is what manifesting science is all about. While there are some physical aspects to some technologies, the highest level of manifesting science is using informational energetic fields. It has to have information in there telling the physical reality you're connecting with what to do, and it has to be energetic, meaning it makes it happen. So that's the basic principle of everything. And as I said, this is all laid out in my Great Path course. I will be having a whole series of books coming out next year, which will explain all this. But this is kind of in a nutshell of how all of this works. So there are, as I was speaking of before, there is actual doctors in some states that can do this, but you're not going to find many people that will. And we just don't know how successful they are. Again, it's all kind of suppressed. They're laughed at in the industry, and it is a problem in general. If you pull out a machine like this in front of a patient and say, I'm going to treat you, well, aren't you kind of the laughing stock? Is anybody going to believe that? And of course, that doesn't have to be the only thing. Generally, when you're dealing with success technologies, you want to use several technologies. Boxes are just one of it, and these are very low-level tools that have low energy. There are much more powerful tools, and this is why I'm selling all of my tools and only dealing with my now much more powerful tubes that have already done miracle-type work. But the point is that this kind of psychic tuning can be very, very powerful. And there has been certain people who have done this over the years and have gotten excellent results from it by just psychically tuning in. After all, there are psychic healers. There are these healers we heard from, particularly in Brazil, who healed people, did operations, etc. And these are not the frauds that we heard about from the Philippines. And I'm not sure everybody in the Philippines was actually fraudulent either. But the Brazilians in particular, and it seemed to have been one person after another, were able to do miraculous surgeries. And this has been researched by Andrei Pusharik, who was a medically trained doctor who actually had a tumor pulled out of his arm, and he kept it in a jar on his desk. I mean, this is pretty amazing. He would go in, the surgeon would go in, and he witnessed it, and there are some film on this. One of the problems is that cameras weren't really good back then, and people didn't invest that much in it. But he was able to do eye surgery, other things, and the list of people he cured and treated was amazing. And this doctor spent his week working at the post office, and his time off he spent curing people like this by the hundreds and even thousands. And there are several people in Brazil, apparently, that connect to this spirit that guides them. Quite fascinating. Again, this is part of the manifesting sciences. What is it? How do you do it? Can it be reproduced, etc.? But, there isn't any money for this. Nobody supports anything. People will give hundreds of thousands of dollars for some piece of garbage on GoFundMe and startups. Your average game board people are raising hundreds of thousands of dollars just to copy a little board game, to make it a little different, to make little figures, etc. And there's a whole bunch of junk that is funded by people with hundreds of thousands of dollars. But when it comes to this area, nobody really seems to have the time and money to investigate it, even though the possibilities and the rewards from something like this are unimaginable. Just imagine if we can get this down to a system where people can be trained, people can be healed, people can be empowered in life. This would be amazing, and certainly something we need. But, there's billions of dollars to kill people. We got $200 billion we just gave to Nazis. So the whole idea is really not a problem, but it is a problem if you want to do anything good. And the people that are holding this back and not supporting the good stuff, plain and simple, are your average public. We can blame everybody else that we want, but the average public supports bad people and doesn't support good things. They have the money for the toys, the games, and the junk tech out there, but they don't have money to go and assist serious researchers to do things and to record this. And there are thousands of people around the world that have amazing abilities that have already been documented and proven. You haven't heard of them, just like you haven't heard of me, who's been in this field for 50 years. So the whole idea is that's the reality out there, and what you have heard of and who the people that you have worked with are all bogus bad people. Now, you have to get your proverbial poo together, people, and understand exactly what's going on in the world, and you have to support the good people and move ahead with all these areas instead of supporting all of the bad people by the thousands who are pouring money into a bunch of garbage tech and supporting people that have nothing to offer because you've been conned. Like the $8,000 box of computerized box of garbage that's produced out there and has been for years, pushed on the public by a corrupt organization as well. So it goes on and on. But it's part of life. If you think you're going to find the miracle, you're going to find the amazing tech somewhere, well, it's not going to be that easy. Until next time.